15, why do you think you want this job? In my head, I'm like, I promise I just want the money. I am really in love with the geospatial world. I never felt such panic in my life. So you're there to make sure I become as ridiculously educated as I can possibly be. And I made an error and messed up the whole attribute table.
Do you smell that? Yeah, because I think it's the smell of greatness.
Amplifying African tech stories, elevating technical brilliance. This is the Geo Habari podcast. To support the show, please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy the episode, leave us a rating or review. It helps bring visibility to the podcast.
Do you smell that? Do you smell that? Because I think it's the smell of greatness.
Funny boy.
Oh boy, I'm really, really glad that you actually accepted to be on this podcast. So this is another episode where we just talk about your journey. It's I don't know, supposed to be about 30 minutes long, but yeah, depending on how you talk, I mean, we can't really restrict your nuggets, can we?
Linus and Ari, I'll hang up this call.
Okay, relax, chill. I'm just kidding. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome back to the Geo Habari podcast. On the Young Professional segment, the segment where we check in with actual real people navigating life after uni. And sometimes coming to the reality of, hang on a second, this isn't the dream I fantasized about from LinkedIn, is it? You leave campus thinking the world is waiting for you, only to find out that the world even barely noticed your arrival. But no stress. That's where the glow begins, isn't it? And to help us figure this out, I'm joined by none other than Kelvin Nyabuti, someone who's been there, done that, and somehow earned something called a job title. Kev, welcome to the segment.
Thank you so much, Linus. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, before we get into the big adulting stuff, let's rewind a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Who was Kev on campus? Like, were you more of the planner type, the last minute guy, the ambitious dreamer, or just, simply vibes?
Well, okay, cool. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I think I've followed Geo Habari since the beginning, and really exciting to be part of the episodes. Super excited to share my journey, and I hope the words that we're going to share to this day are going to be inspiring in a sense. I don't know. I think I hope the nuggets I'll share from my journey will encourage someone who's navigating their own. So, Kev in campus. So for context, I joined the University of Nairobi in 2018 September. I joined to study a Bachelor of Science in Geospatial Engineering, spent my 5 years in campus and finished and graduated in 2023, September. Yeah. So who was Kevin campus? Difficult question. Let's see. Who was I in campus? I think I was a mix of so many things. I was the ambitious one in class. I was ambitious. I was very ambitious. I was everywhere. I was the class representative. I was the chairperson of the Students Association. I was all over the place in terms of extracurricular activities, but relating to geospatial. But then in terms of classwork, if I'm being entirely honest, I was pretty much the last minute guy. I think I work very well with high adrenaline. Those lines you usually put when you say you work well under pressure.
Yeah.
Well with a lot of adrenaline. So I think I used to work very, very well with deadlines. So I'd find myself reading last minute, cutting very close to the exams and stuff like that. But that was me. I think important was that I understood myself enough to know what worked for me. So I'd spend a majority of my time during the semester doing other things, attending conferences, networking, doing work as a chair of the Students Association and whatnot. And then toward exams, I'd switch off my phone, transnight for a couple of days, finish my exams, move on with life. So I think that was basically me through campus. Yeah. But I had fun, had amazing time with my classmates, had built quite a bit of friendships, and spent my time in campus having as much fun as I could. Yeah.
Okay, so people don't talk about how applying for jobs starts to feel like as though you're texting your crush and somehow getting ghosted over and over again. So take us back. You finish school and you're almost coming to the end of it. You've got a folder called
Mhm.
CV. How did you find your first ever job opportunity? Did you ever apply for a job and think, am I even qualified for this type of stuff, that type of conversation? Yeah.
Quite the question. I think first of all, now because I was all over the place in campus, I thought my transition will be very smooth. You know how you go for conferences. I remember this one conference I was presenting at RCMRD, and the moment I started, one of the first things I said before I presented was, just to inform all of you, I'm in my final year in campus, and I'm saying this so that when I come asking for a job, you'll understand. And
I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was actually there, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. Yeah.
I think I had so many conversations with people around the time I was in fifth year. A lot of guys were like, we've seen the kind of work you do. You just finish and then send us your CV. Send us your CV. I knew for a fact I have everything sorted out. I have had all the conversations I needed to have, and it will be smooth sailing from there. At least that's what I thought.
Hmm.
But jokes on me. I finished campus, reached out to all these guys. And the long and short of it is that I don't work for any of those guys. So you can imagine how that. And it's strange because someone promises you something and then you keep on texting them, hi, 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 you said, until it feels like you're begging, and
Yeah. And they
it's such
ghost you. Mm.
quite a terrible feeling. So I decided that I'll spend my time applying. I'm a firm believer in God and the fact that God orders things the way he sees best. But I'm also a believer in the fact that there's a place for effort, human effort. So that what that looked like for me is that I spent quite a bit of time curating my CV first before applying. So I put in all my details, reached out to all my contacts that I had networked with throughout my time in campus, shared my CV with them, and just asked them to take a look at it and give me their feedback, tell me what they think I can change and amend. So these are guys in industry. When you share out your CV, that's what people see. So did that, and then afterwards, I remember this really funny story. My roommate and I. So again, we lived together with a few friends of mine from campus, and we were very intent on applying for jobs. So we used to apply for 15 jobs per day. It was really hectic because the idea I had is that I can't get a job I have not applied for, so I'm going to apply for every freaking job I can get. So we used to apply for like 15 jobs per day, and what that would look like is we got LinkedIn Premium. You know how we usually sign up for 1 month free. We got
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Then we used to go check out people who we know are alumni from our school or from our course, and who are working. So check all the places where they've worked. Because in my head, if someone is practicing geospatial and they've worked in a specific company, it means there's a geospatial department or there's space for a geospatial guy. So spent quite a bit of time looking for those jobs in that regard and then applying for them. So imagine that 15 applications per day, that's editing your CV 15 times, 15 cover letters, 15, why do you think you want this job? In my head, I'm like, I promise I just want the money. But yeah, I have to write, I'm passionate about X and Y and Z. And did that for quite a bit of time. But to just cut that story short, of
Yeah.
all the job applications I made, I only ever had one interview, which is really funny. I made so many applications, only ever got one interview. That was for an internship at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, for the headquarters. Did the interview. It was one interview, 20 minutes, which again was very strange because they usually have a 4-part interview. But did the interview. A month later, I got an acceptance email. I was told I emerged top of the applicants, around 3,500 applicants across the
Whoa.
world.
Whoa,
And
whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah.
that's how I got my big break. I think that's how I started my internship at FAO. Did 5 months of internship, and afterwards, I was confirmed as a consultant at FAO, which is a position I currently am at. So yeah, that application.
Whoa. All right. So I'm guessing, so you first land the job, Food and Agriculture Organization, and you're hired. You go maybe buy some standard laptop because I'm guessing it definitely needs a laptop on day one. What like hit you the first, like the culture shock? I'm asking because I personally feel like the first thing they should give new employees is not an ID, but more of a survival manual. So yeah, what hit you the first in terms of the culture shock?
Well, first, I think the one that hit me the hardest is the moment I was introduced to my team. So again, I have a bachelor's in geospatial engineering. I hadn't started my master's at that point. The first thing that hit me was that everyone in my team had a master's, and we were two interns. The other intern was doing their PhD in, an amazing guy was doing his
Wow.
PhD. I think the imposter syndrome hit me like a rock in the face, like, what do you mean bachelor's? And then in my head, I'm like, I have a bachelor's and I'm working with guys from all over the world. I was so
Oh boy, yeah.
So to be honest, I think that was the first thing that really hit me. And the second thing, because of the nature of the organization I work with, I don't work with Kenyans. I think there is only recently was there another Kenyan who joined our team. So the other thing that hit me was I had to learn to adapt to different accents, to different people who speak in high geospatial jargon, but with very complicated English in the sense that they have, accents from their various ethnicities and stuff like that. So it was quite interesting. My supervisor is Italian. Some of my colleagues are Chinese, from Kazakhstan, from Cameroon, from where. So I had to adapt to that also, which was quite interesting. And my internship, first of all, started remotely. And then once I became a consultant, then I moved to work from the headquarters in Rome. So that was also, starting your career remotely was also quite interesting, I think. Because now everyone, I just met everyone on a screen. I had to learn to adapt to everything on a screen. Any training I get was remote, if any. So yeah, that was also quite interesting. And then, yeah, the transition afterwards was pretty jarring. But I think the most amazing thing is I had a beautiful team. I got a really soft landing simply because I got an amazing team. People who are very intent on teaching, spaces where you can ask questions. In my organization, there's even this, there's an open door policy. You can just get in and ask whatever you want. And in the sense that they also want to build a beautiful community. So we don't even use titles in our organization. So, I got used to calling my boss by his first name, which was quite interesting. But yeah, I think otherwise I got a good landing simply because I got an amazing team.
All right, let's be honest. Let's be honest, Kev. Okay. So what's one thing you expected from the job world, okay? And the reality just, served you different. Well, did you have that moment where you thought, so this is it. I studied for, 5 whole years just to be told, to fix this and this type of error, or maybe to debug or clean this type of data. Like, what was the one thing that reality served you with differently from what you expected on the job market?
Well, I think what was rather jarring was, that transition from campus where everything we did in campus was almost basically inconsequential, in the sense that, when you're doing analysis in campus and you blunder, I mean, it's like, yeah, you made a mistake, but you're a student, everyone understands. I think what was jarring was the very first project I was on, I think many of you in the geo world might have noticed this, but FAO released global administrative unit layer boundary. So this is the world boundary data set that is serviced by FAO, the 2025 version a couple of months ago. That was the very first project I was on. So we were starting up that project. I think what hit me was, goodness, now I'm doing grown-up stuff. Like, if I make mistakes here, I'm making mistakes on a global level and stuff like that. I had always been a student. I had always known mistakes can be rectified. I had always known I can fail and try again. But for the first time, everything I was doing was consequential. I remember this one time, we were editing attributes for the whole world boundary data set. And because I'm the Python guy in my team, I was scripting, I was automating the process. And I made an error and messed up the whole attribute table. I never felt such panic in my life. So you're there and it's you that, my goodness, you've messed up.
Oh, man.
That was wild. But yeah, the fact that it hit me that I'm actually now doing real life stuff that has real life ramifications if I make mistakes and real life benefits if I actually do it well, that was quite the shock for me. I don't think I was really prepared for that.
Okay. Interesting. So is there like something that really kept you going when you felt bland or overwhelmed? Did you start adjusting your expectations, or maybe think of quitting or pivoting, or perhaps even meandering to a different profession? Like, what was the one thing that kept you going?
Well, I think first, fundamentally, I am really in love with the geospatial world. That's one thing that has always kept me going. I am genuinely deeply in love with what I do. with this field because I have seen its applications. I have been all over the world seeing the impact that geospatial work has, translating spatial data into actual insights. I have seen the real life impact that it has, and I fell in love deeply with this course and with this field. So that keeps me going because I know the things I do have real life ramifications and have real life impact. For me, that's very, very important. The fact that I partook of the geospatial vision. I have been intent on ever keeping it before me to make sure that I understand that my aim is to leave a mark in the geospatial world. So for me, that the fact that I love what I do has been quite the motivating factor, whether I am failing or succeeding at it. And the second thing is one thing that my mentor told me a while ago, and this is the fact that everyone I look up to in the field began as a beginner. Everyone started as a beginner. Everyone had a clean slate, a tabula rasa of sorts, and they learned and they did hard things. They pursued, knowledge. So that for me, the fact that I don't know does not put me in despair. Rather, it makes me more intent on learning. It makes me more intent on doing stuff to make sure I putting in as much effort as possible to make sure I become as ridiculously educated as I can possibly be. And the last thing, something one of my bros told me in a random conversation. He just said it in passing. He told me, seek for discomfort daily. Every single day, seek for discomfort. And the reason why that was quite encouraging is because growth is only found in uncomfortable fields. If you do the things that come easy to you, the things that are comfortable for you, you won't grow as much as you think you will. But if you pursue uncomfortable things, if you do those things that are difficult, if you daily venture into spaces where you hitherto didn't imagine you're able to, you'll grow. So that anytime I'd meet an encumbrance, anytime I'd meet difficulty, and anytime I'd hit a roadblock, I'd realize this is that uncomfortable place for me. Put my best foot forward, learn as much as I can, and ultimately come out the other side as educated as I can possibly be.
That's actually I don't know, I just love the sentiment behind your statements, especially the one when you mentioned that, everyone starts, like a beginner. And also the whole aspect about leaving a mark in the geospatial field, which is one of your most strongest and like the firmest motivational factor behind this every aspect that you've managed to accomplish, which is something that everyone else should actually take note of. Anywho, we are gonna go on a break, and we will be back shortly with the same sentiments that Kelvin Nyabuti has to share.
Thank you for tuning in to the Young Professional segment hosted by Linus Sanari. This segment is intentionally raw, filled with banter, and grounded in authentic, lived experiences. This is the Geo Habari podcast, dedicated to amplifying African tech stories and elevating technical brilliance. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us a rating as it helps more people discover the podcast.
Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back when we're having such an incredible chat with Kelvin Nyabuti. And so far we've been trying to figure out, so what next, between the work and the life and something there in between. And on to the next something that, baffles everyone is, somewhere along the way, you usually stop panicking and start figuring things out. And we all just want to figure out, Kev, what helped you shift from survival to more of like stability? Any habits or mindset that changed the game for you?
Any habits or mindset that essentially shifted me into stability? Well, yeah, I think first of all is, which for me is very important, adopting a learner's mindset. I think, first of all, one of the things that I have always hated when it comes to the geospatial sector is how people say, we're usually taught a lot of theory and not a lot of practical and stuff like that. I personally am a firm believer in the fact that good theory informs good practice, that you can't have one without the other. Theory on its own is insufficient, practice on its own is insufficient. So that one thing that really helped me is I have been very intent on adopting a learner's mindset and understanding geospatial theories, what we call GI science, as much as I possibly can, and then learning how to translate that information into actual work, into actual practice to derive actual insight. So that first for me is adopting a proper learner's mindset, being intent on not just understanding the tools, but understanding the science behind it, and then how to execute the science with the tools. For me, that's very important, and it's something that I have been intent on. I think part of my day, every single day, is usually learning, spending time understanding the science a bit more, understanding the tools a bit more, be it, Python as a language, Google Earth Engine, or whatever tools I use on a day by day, even if it's the, GIS desktop software like ArcGIS Pro or QGIS. I'm very intent on learning as much as possible. I think if you adopt a learner's mindset, you will be unstoppable. I think genuinely you'll be able to transition from a rookie student to a proper practitioner in the GIS world, in the geospatial world. So first of all, adopting a learner's mindset. 2, iterating. What I mean by iterating is evaluating every single time and trying to do better. When you make a mistake, go back to the drawing board, figure out what the problem was, try it again until you figure it out. I think, the reason why a lot of people don't succeed or don't make it is because they are afraid of failure and they're afraid of hard things. So that if you embrace failure and embrace hard things, you already begin occupying the upper echelon of life. You become significantly better than a majority of the people. So that embrace those failures, go back to the drawing board, iterate, and become better. So the mistakes I made, I owned up to them. I think it's also very important to be honest and own up to the things you did, to admit the things you can do and the things you can't do. I had those conversations with my supervisor, with my superiors. They gave me information about how to do better, went back to the drawing board, did, and tried again. Ultimately, I think for me, those two things, a learner's mindset and the capacity to be able to fail and try again. And 3, what I already mentioned, doing hard things every day, not just doing the things that are easy, doing difficult things, being very intent on venturing into very uncomfortable paths. Those 3 things for me are the things that have helped me transition from a student and a rookie geospatial engineer to a proper professional geospatial engineer.
Wow, rookie to professional. Like that whole aspect about getting something difficult and your first thought is, it is what it is. Anywho, that's a good theory, about speaking about how a good theory informs good practice, and adopting to a learner's mindset and learning how to transform that mindset into the practical side. Okay, Kev, onto the final reflection, or rather letter to the past you, and which is usually my favorite bit of this particular segment. If you could write a short note to your 4th year self, what would you say, Kev?
Oof, that's a difficult one. I don't know. I think I'd say to my 4th year self exactly what my mentor said to me then, is that 1, there is space for every single person on this earth. Don't be intimidated by other people's journeys. Don't look at other people's experiences and discount your own. There is space for everyone. As boomers used to say, the cake is big and everyone can get a slice. So there is space for everyone. There is space for you too. I'd remind myself that don't be intimidated by other people's journeys. You run your own race. Be intent on becoming the best version of yourself, and you will find space for yourself. The second thing I'd say to myself is, become so ridiculously educated. Become the one person who, when people have a question, they want to ask you because they know you know. And what that means is that spend as much time as you can learning. Spend each day iterating and looking for information and becoming as good as you can possibly be. And number 3, that's very important for me, live life. Be very intent on ensuring that your career becomes something you enjoy, so that it's part of you enjoying life, but also beyond your career, have other things to do. Don't be the one who's just set on this single thing, because we usually talk about how working is earning a living. I don't think that's true. You already deserve to live. When you say earning a living, it feels like you don't deserve to live, and now your capacity to earn basically makes you more deserving of life or something like that. Live life, enjoy good things. Life is for the living. Like, life should be enjoyed. Remember that in the midst of all this, it's not just about your 9 to 5. Have fun. Find a way to have fun with your career. Find a way to enjoy the things you do during your 9 to 5, but also find a way to enjoy the rest of your time. Find a way to still live life, because the abundance of life is not just your career. Find a way to still enjoy the totality of life. I think those are the three things I tell myself. I'm glad someone told me these things. They have really carved my journey. I think these are part of the reasons why I was able to transition very quickly. So I think that's it. I think that's it for me.
Life is for the living. Find a way to, enjoy the totality of life. All
Mhm.
right. Massive thanks to you, Kelvin Nyabuti, for keeping it real with us. This was definitely needed. And for you listening, maybe you're still figuring out your ground or perhaps your glow up. It might be a slow burn, but that's okay. That's all right. You're still showing up, and that counts.
Mhm.
And just for those who are wondering, how can they maybe find you, Kev, in terms of social media and everything?
Yeah, so I think professionally the easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. Nyabuti Angwenyi on LinkedIn. That's
Mm.
Nyabuti, Nyabuti Angwenyi on LinkedIn. On Instagram at Angwenyi_KN. If you wanna text me, if you wanna DM me on Instagram, which I don't know why. Maybe I can give my email if you want to email me. My personal email is Kelvin Nyabuti 071@gmail.com. So yeah, you can feel free to reach out if anything.
Definitely. Anywho, catch us on the next episode. Same vibe, same honesty, but a new guest. If you found value in this, come on, don't keep it to yourself. Share with someone else who's adjusting as well. This is your Habari, and I've been your host, Linus Anari. Thank you.
Cheers. Linus, you're quite heavy on the cup. You're really quite heavy on the cup.
What do you mean cupping? I have no idea what you're talking about.